in considering whether or not you want to go back to the office, technology does play a large part in this. And we're going to hand over now to Paul Deaville, and he's just going to talk about some of the things that perhaps you should consider from an infrastructure perspective, whether or not you're going to go back into the office or whether you're looking at more flexible working and still remaining with people working from home. So I'm going to hand over to Paul.
Afternoon all, Paul Deaville, IT Total Solutions. Hope everybody's keeping well at the moment. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. One of the things we've been sort of asked an awful lot lately is I've been working from home for 2 or 3 months. I sort of like it, but I also want to go back to the office, but probably not as much. So what we've been asked to do for a lot of people is something, the new buzzword that's coming out there is something called fluid working. Many people are looking at flexible working solutions after lockdown, and they want to work from home easier than what they probably have done during a forced environment that they found themselves in, where they've just been dropped in a home working scenario and had to put up with it. They're now looking at ways that they can have the office at home and have the home at office. So it's basically a way of trying to find a nice happy medium between working from home and you know, having an office at the same time. Biggest question I get at the moment is, do I need to buy another computer? Well, that's all depending on what you've currently got, really. But in most people's cases, yes is the answer. Most people have either got a PC which they've taken physically home with them and set it up on the dining room table or spare bedroom or garden shed, whatever has come to the most appropriate solution. And now probably are looking at a laptop or something more portable so they can carry around with them. Or they're in a position that actually they want to now keep their computer at home if it's in a good enough position, and they need a new one at the office, or vice versa. They want to take the current PC back to the office and get something extra for home. And then following on from that, it's how to get all the work I do at home back to the office. Well, the common thing that most people use is USB sticks, but with most office infrastructures now preventing the transmission of information via USB for restriction of viruses and intellectual property, that's getting less and less of a way of transmitting data between different locations. So you've got to look at different things such as a OneDrive account or a Dropbox account, or working directly to your servers or computers in your office. And the other thing we get asked an awful lot is, can I have 2 screens at home like I have at work? Well, yes, that's quite easy to do, and there's quite a few different scenarios out there. Just got a few pictures that gives you some of the ideas of what we've done for clients recently to get them working from home as they do in the office. So this is called a docking station. It's a HP one. Most HP ones fit on these units. You've got 2 screens, a docking station, and a normal full-size keyboard and mouse, which most people prefer rather than using a laptop keyboard and mouse. And once you've docked your laptop, you've got 2 workable screens, just like you would do with a PC, and it works quite happily, works really, really well. Once you're finished, you just de-dock your laptop, walk away, walk to the office, and carry on working. That's what it looks like when you're sitting down at it, nice and simple. And if you want an extra screen, you can have 3 screens. Obviously, you can move the laptop left, right, or even underneath your screens, wherever you've got the room. But not all laptops are dockable. They're not all capable of fitting on a docking solution. So there are lots of solutions out there available for lots of different places, and they're called port replicators. And they look something like this with lots of wires coming out of them. And they will connect to your device via USB and enable you to have a couple of screens, printers, various other things all plugged in and enable you to work. That's one of the laptop ones that we've used recently, just so people can get a tablet laptop onto a normal size screen with a normal size keyboard and mouse. So there's lots of solutions out there that can enable you to work wherever you want to work with whatever you want to work with. That's just another quick one with just all the ports that they've got on the back, just to give you an indication of what you can have. So that's it. You've now got both your setups working, but how do you work remotely? Most people always say, I'm at home and I want to connect to the office, so how do I do it? The easiest way and the most common way is remote desktop. As part of Windows, it's included. It's also included on Macintosh. So if you want to connect to your office computer, remote desktop is the way to do it. Nice and simple, already included, does the job. Biggest problem is it's the most hacked way of connecting to a computer because it's the most common. So the biggest thing with remote desktop, if you use remote desktop, is have two-factor authentication enabled on it, because if they get your password, they can sit at your computer and do exactly what you can do. You don't really want that. So a two-factor authentication is as good a solution as any to make sure that no one can get onto your PC without your knowledge. VPN, something we've done an awful lot for recently with clients, connecting from home straight to your servers at work, straight to your NAS units or external devices that you've got, and working and accessing all of your data on your own computer, but where it's stored, it's in the office. Biggest thing about that is you need something that's SSL based, again, for security. You don't want other people invading your private network and getting onto all your files. And you need to make sure it's on a decent firewall or router. You can't really go to Sky or TalkTalk and use their routers for VPN connections. They're not capable of it. And if they are capable of it, they're not secure enough to do it. So it's a bit of an infrastructure change that you might have to implement to make sure that the office is secure and functional to enable 10, 15, 20 people to work remotely. You do need a bit of an infrastructure bump to enable that. There's lots of third-party apps out there. I'm sure we're all familiar with things like TeamViewer, Go to My PC. Biggest thing with that is make sure they've got strong passwords. Sometimes the 6 or 7 digit characters they include aren't particularly brilliant and can be hacked and can be guessed. So always good to change those to something more secure. Like I said, security is key. On whatever device you're using remotely from home or even at the office, make sure up to date. Updates have been applied. That's where most of the security features lie. Always make sure your passwords are currently changed and secure, meeting password complexity. There's some information we can pass on further down the line about making passwords and how you can make secure passwords that are easy to remember. Antivirus, again, critical. Make sure you've got a good antivirus product on all of your computers, preferably an EDR based solution, so you are as covered as you can be from any ransomware attacks. And ultimately, be vigilant. That is the main thing you can do. If you're unsure, don't click it, don't open it, and most of the time you can keep yourself secure while working at home. So if you're back at the office, there's a couple of things that most people have to do as soon as they walk in the door if you've been out of the office for a while, is check your infrastructure out. Internet connection is the biggest thing. It's been idle maybe for a few weeks, it's not being used. Reboot your routers, make sure you've got a good internet connection, it's stable. Check your phones, make sure they're still working. Check all your power out. We've had a lot of storms lately. Power blocks, extension leads sometimes can blow, and you go to use your computer and find out that it doesn't work anymore because the power socket's actually dead. Check out your fixed equipment, things like printers, photocopiers, scanners, things that don't move or don't go anywhere. They've been sitting idle for a while. So check those out and make sure all those are functional, working, and you can connect to them all. And then finally, think about your working environment. Distances, that's going to be the biggest thing when you go back to the office. Can you work with distances around other people? What PPE might you need, such as screens, masks, gloves, etc. And ultimately, will your infrastructure allow you to social distance? The biggest thing most people are going to find is the cables won't be long enough. So if you are walking into an office and you need to stretch things around a little bit more, if you need any help recabling, please give us a call. That's it from me. I hope everybody stays safe and we get back to normal as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. There was some really good advice in there and such a lot that covered so many different areas. So thank you so much for doing that for us.